Now, this article was written by Dr. Vedder. He was a president of Lincoln Chiropractic College located in Indianapolis, Indiana. A little bit more of his background is Dr. Vedder was one of the inner circle, if you will, of B.J. Palmer. Again, this is written in 1935. This is the May issue. There is a June, July, August issue, and there's also an April issue. So make sure you check out those readings. I'm going to read this to you for your ease and comfort. Hopefully, it's your comfort. And I'm going to give some modern day 2020 interaction, response, thoughts as I go through this. So bear with me. Let's have some fun. And let's open our eyes and our ears to history, because those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. And unfortunately, as you see as we go through these articles, we are definitely repeating something that's been going on for 100 years. And that's got to stop. We got to find a way out of this not so merry-go-round, out of this infinite repeat loop, because it's not leading to a good place. That's my personal comment. Now, to the article. History of Chiropractic, its origin, development, and reconstruction. By Dr. Harry E. Vedder, president of Lincoln Chiropractic College, Indianapolis, Indiana. Continued from the April issue. In these pioneer days, the first great mistake of the chiropractic movement was made. That mistake lay in the fact that the chiropractors laid claim to too much territory. No one is more convinced than the writer that the vast proportion of disease results from interference with nerve transmission, yet we cannot contend that no other circumstance, or environment, or condition is of any moment in this problem of health. Any moment in that time meant any consequence, or we can't contend that they aren't part of the problem. It is obvious to the chiropractor today, 1935, that there must be an adequate food intake, there must be a sufficient and normal fluid supply, there must be definite intake of oxygen to supply the bodily needs. No one today, 1935, questions that the environment in which we live plays a part in the maintenance of our health. Even normal thinking is important. No well-informed person today, 1935, contends that depressing thought, fear, anger, apprehension, worry cannot have a very real effect on the functional activity and physical well-being. Chiropractors have always known that, yet many have permitted themselves to be carried away by their enthusiasm to the point where they refuse to admit the important part which other factors play in the matter of health. This first great mistake led to a chain of complications, the result of which is still being felt in our professional life. Written in 1935, is still felt in 2020. I'm going to pause here, talk about this. Anybody who understands how the human body works understands that nerve supply is primary, utmost, pinnacle importance. You can't, if the nerve supply goes to a dead tissue, it doesn't do anything. If the nerve supply goes to a tissue that doesn't have enough oxygen, it doesn't do anything. If the tissue is damaged so that it's not processing hydration or ATP or any of those other things, not known in 1935, by the way, it doesn't work like it's supposed to. And that one of the fundamental chiropractic principles is a limitation of matter. Intelligence works at 100%, force is at 100%, matter, that can be the weak link in the triune part of who we are and how we express life. So yes, back then, back even before then, in the principles of chiropractic, it's very clear that the matter matters. I think I need to coin that, but the matter matters. It's one of the 33 fundamental principles of chiropractic. Here it's laid out. Recently, it's been the three T's, the thoughts, traumas, and toxins. The problem, as Dr. Vedder is pointing out here and still lives on today, is chiropractors think that because thoughts, traumas, toxins, environment, nutrition, all that stuff affects health, and it's not drugs or surgery, it by default, prima facie, on its face, is the realm of chiropractic. And Dr. Vedder in 1935 points out clearly, no, it's not. We play a part in that, but the matter has to be taken care of as well. So that's my take on this introductory paragraph of this article. I'm going to go on and read the period of rapid growth now. period of rapid growth. Following this pioneer stage in our history, we entered on a period of rapid growth. Because it was a novelty, because it was something new, because it did possess tremendous merit, chiropractors became popular in the public mind. All too often, that popularity came to those who were unfit to properly accept and carry it. Many of these practitioners became arrogant. Their professional heads were swelled. Seeing the worldly success which these early practitioners achieved, many were attracted to our profession, who by natural endowment and by unworthy motives were not fitted to engage in this work. At that time, many entered our schools who had never taken a chiropractic adjustment. They had no personal experience with its merit. They knew not whether chiropractic would get sick people well, and they cared less. They were attracted to this profession purely because it offered a means of gaining economic independence quickly and easily. They wanted to ride on the crest of the wave of popularity and public favor which had been built by the pioneers. These men were concerned not at all in chiropractic as a worldwide movement. Their vision was limited to their own selfish motives. They failed to consider themselves as a part of a representative group who were then fashioning the future of a great profession. I want to pause there, give some insight. This is still kind of going on today. When the Mercedes 80s happened, the physiotherapist profession didn't have a doctorate program. The nutritionist didn't have a doctorate program. And there are stories, this is secondhand, thirdhand knowledge of physical therapists and physical fitness gurus saying, listen, you guys, we don't have a doctorate program in what we do, but what you need to do is get into these chiropractic schools, get your doctor degree. So everybody calls you Dr. Smith or Dr. Jones or whatever they call you. And then you can come back and do your physical fitness. You can do your nutrition. You can do all these other things. Just use the chiropractic schools because they'll let anybody in if you're paying the tuition. Use the chiropractic schools to get this degree and then put chiropractic there, but focus back on what we're doing here, which is either physical therapy or physical fitness or nutrition or whatever else is going on that we didn't have a doctorate for at the time. So this is not the first time I've heard this about groups outside of chiropractic using chiropractic to get the degree and then setting the chiropractic aside, but still using the degree to do what they wanted to do in the first place. Again, 1935, 2020, 100 years of this because we refuse to study our history, to know our philosophy, and to teach it well. Back to the article. Motive. Oh, this is a really good article. It works for a lot of things. Motive. Here we go. The story is told of the man who walked along the edge of a quarry. He came to a workman laboring there. He said to him, "My friend, what are you doing?" The workman looked up. Lines of discontent were on his face. No spark of responsibility was evident in his eyes at all. He replied, "Why, I'm working my heart out here for these $3 a day." The questioner moved on. Shortly he came to a second workman. To him he said, "My friend, what are you doing?" The man looked up. He snarled. Bitterness was in his voice. He said, "I'm working my life away, 8 hours every day." Sadly, the visitor moved on. Finally, he came to a white-haired old man, a man who was intent upon his work, who in his every movement showed that he took tremendous pride in shaping these rough ashlars into perfect form. To him, the same query was made. "My friend, what are you doing here?" The old man looked up. A friendly smile was on his face. The light of enthusiasm, of interest, almost of genius was in his keen blue eyes. He said, "Sir, I'm building a temple." Now, this story aptly illustrated the mental state of many chiropractors who filled our ranks in those days of prosperity, and some of who still fill them today. Again, this was written in 1935. I can say the same thing today in 2020. We had too many men whose sole concern was what they could get from chiropractic in compensation. Their sole interest lay in how well the public would pay for the services which the public then was demanding. These men have been of immeasurable harm to the forward movement of chiropractic. Yet, who can say that the harm our profession suffered as a result of them was because of the influences outside the profession? Who can be honest and fail to admit that any loss of confidence we have suffered in later years was in large part the direct reaction of the motive which lay in the hearts of these men? Again, amazing. This goes to why do you do what you do in the first place? 1935, it's really interesting. If you look down here, their concern is what they could get from chiropractic. President Kennedy said in his great speech, ask not what this country can do for you, but what can you do for this country? The same thought is echoing throughout this part of the thing, is these people were trying to get as much out of this infant profession as possible. Again, 1935, 40 years old as a profession. From Harvey Lillard to this is only 40 years. Very infant profession. We have these practitioners who are trying to milk every drop out of it that they could with no care for the profession. Again, going on today across the board, and some of the schools, unfortunately, are promoting that as a form of practice. Anyway, absurd claims. This is the end of the article here for this episode. Absurd claims. During this period of prosperity, chiropractic suffered from many chiropractors making absurd claims. Anything and everything was promised. There were no limitations. Again, going back to coming into chiropractic, making bold claims so that you get as much money as possible right away, and buyer beware, and who cares about the profession as long as I'm taken care of. Caution failed to play a part in our promises. We accepted all kinds of patients with all kinds of disease and all stages of hopeless pathology, giving to each the same blithe assurance of health. Instead of being guarded in our prognosis, every patient was given the same hope. What was the result? It was a foregone conclusion that many people who were given unfounded promises should be disillusioned, disappointed, and should condemn chiropractic. Now, I think we have to be very careful here. He is making a very valid point. If you give somebody with no symptoms whatsoever, slight misalignment, very, one misalignment, one subluxation, the same hope of recovery, and let's say they're a preteen, the same hope of recovery as somebody with severe advanced scoliosis, a lot of suffering, a lot of daily things they want to do, late 70s, a lot of degeneration, a lot of history of accidents, and maybe they even have advanced cancer going on in their bodies. We can't give both of those people the same hope unless the hope is founded on the principle that the body will deal with whatever you're dealing with better without interference. That's the only hope I can see that's the same in both. But we have to be careful that we couch that in the limitations of matter and the limitations of time that our principles teach us. So yes, giving a completely unlimited hope to everybody that walks in your door, that will lead to broken expectations, and that leads to disappointment, and that leads to a bad reputation. But if you teach them properly that yes, your body is an amazing contraption that can heal to a limit of matter and time, and all I can do is free up your body to do that, that's a hope that I give to everybody, and that's a hope all chiropractors should give to all of their clients, couched in how much damage has been done that's not repairable, and how much time does your body have to heal. Because even that 12-year-old may not make it till next week, and that 79-year-old may live to be 100. So we can't give either one of them an unrealistic hope, but we have to give them hope. And that hope is that chiropractic frees up the nervous system to do its job. And it is totally different in every person. So we have to be careful that we couch what he says here to not go down the medical thing that if you have this diagnosis and this is your prognosis, and it's 25% morbidity and 12% mortality, 6 months, blah 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 blah. Because again, chiropractic is not medicine. Medicine is not chiropractic. So we have to be very careful not to go down that slippery slope. But we do have to be realistic. We do have to realize and train our people that the limitations of time and matter are very real things. And we also have to realize miracles happen all the time. Not to base our business on that, not to falsely build up unfounded hope on that. But anybody who's been practicing more than a year or two have seen some really crazy things happen when the body is reconnected. All right, so that's the May 1935 article written by Dr. Vedder with my plethora of interruptions and commentary. My goodness, the more I read about this article, the more I read what was going on in 1935, the more I have to shake my head of why have we let this go on for so long? When are we going to grow up and stop playing in our own messes, mature, get on to the next phase, become a profession of maturity, so that we're not just constantly circling back into this endless not-so-merry-go-round. Anyway, I am the gentle giant of chiropractic, Dr. Hoskins. I practice in Inman, South Carolina, the south side of beautiful Lake Bowen, here in Spartanburg County.